Hi, my name is Alejandro Leal. I'm a research analyst here at KuppingerCole, and today I'm here with Patrick. Patrick,
Thanks for having me.
I have just one general question. You've been in the industry for a long time, and how do you see the passwordless market evolving and where it's heading?
There's a good, if you're going to do one, that's a good one. I think, it started off with passwordless for security or convenience. I think we'll keep having some of those, but I think it's going to edge more towards passwordless for security um, because with some of the new methods with FIDO, passkeys and things like that, you can have both. You don't have to sacrifice, one or the other. So I think some of the really easy to capture things like, one-time passwords or magic links and stuff like that will, they're necessary now. They're a kind of a bridge to something forward. But I like what, you covered it really well in your presentation, actually. We pair passwordless, being able to establish high trust in the end user with things like, unphishable MFA. So get multiple strong factors is a piece of it. But then that's just who's coming into your environment. What they bring also matters. So the whole idea of device trust and making sure that you're checking the device so that you can understand the level of security of it and make a policy decision about whether to let that device in. Because that's what the bad guys attack. I mean, I look at it from a cybersecurity perspective. The bad guys attacked the user identity first. Passwords obviously failed us in that regard. And then the bad guys also attacked the endpoint. Those are the two popular things. That's kind of, I think that's pretty kind of near term. I think as you guys put it out in your research, even you said that those are two big criteria for passwordless solutions. Kind of, should I look into the crystal ball a little bit?
Yes, let's try that.
Yeah, I think, and some of this isn't that far away. We do pieces of this ourselves now, like Beyond Identity. It's, if you're going to zero trust, and I loved your term, I think everybody's been using it, kind of identity and then particularly authentication is core, or it's critical on the path to, or the journey to zero trust. You have to fix that piece. And if you don't, you can't get to any level of high trust in the environment. And so one of the things that I think is going to be, zero trust ends up being a team game. It needs to be. So lots of vendors like ourselves need to be able to get risk signals, not just from ourselves, but from other places. So there's MDMs and EDRs on endpoints. Boy, that's a rich set of information that you can use to run against policy to make sure that the device is just as secure as possible. The other issue, so I think that's one thing that we see is people incorporating not just device trust, kind of bringing that in natively, but incorporating other risk signals. Another piece of it is, I think, just doing stuff continuously. I mean, once we're done with the OIDC transaction, those identity providers are out of the way. I mean, that's just the way the transactions are settled, which is fine. But in, 3 minutes later, I could jailbreak my phone, or I could turn off certain controls that you want to have present. So this idea of continuously authenticating the user, maybe not having them do anything, but silently, maybe looking at user behavior kinds of things about the user. Was there some impossible travel thing that just happened? Or as importantly, continuing to reevaluate whether the device is secure enough. So this kind of we've been talking about continuous auth for a long time, but it's really been, every time I, run an authentication transaction is kind of really what they've been talking about, not in between the transaction. So what happens in the 8 hours after you log into something, then we even get some good music. So I think those are the things that I would say, passwordless and phishing resistance is a starting point. Honest today is a device trust piece. And I think people will start to appreciate the need to pull in other signals and do this more continuously rather than just a once and done.
Absolutely, yes. How do you think your company, Beyond Identity, is contributing to this passwordless journey?
Yeah, we kind of see ourselves a little bit as a security company solving identity problem, rather than just a pure identity management player. So we spent, in the last 2 years, kind of architecturally when we set it up, and then in the last couple of years, we spent a lot of time looking at all the different ways that you can bypass. There's all kinds of MFA bypasses attacks now, particularly a man-in-the-middle attack. It used to be the degree of difficulty was pretty hard. They had to bring a bunch of tools in. Now there's free tools out there that are available, and there's services, for example, that the bad guys can rent and use to pull off this. And actually, it's trivial to pull off attacks against kind of first generation MFA, or even some MFA that's claiming phishability. So we've been trying to do a lot of research, and we're starting to publish that out to say, hey, here's, whether it's us, we have to take care of these problems ourselves, to make sure that our customers are secure. But, the industry writ large, needs to jump in. It's funny, a lot of people think if I'm just using a FIDO passkey, I'm phishing resistant. If you've implemented the FIDO2 standard fully, then you've got a really nice level of phishing resistance. But a lot of people just be using the passkeys, and they haven't protected both ends of the transaction. And so there's big room for these impersonation attacks or man-in-the-middle attacks. Even if I can't steal a cryptographic factor, I can steal the session token as it goes by. So great, I let the person log in with their FIDO passkey, but I steal the session token because they didn't lock both ends of that conversation down in a meaningful way. So we're trying to contribute just by shining a lot of light on it. And it's surprising. I went from last year where I would kind of almost have arguments with CISOs about, no, the MFA that you're using is really it's not good enough. And it's way less than good enough. And then this year with all the notable attacks that have happened, I don't have to explain that anymore. They just get it. Yep. We got to switch to a new MFA. And as we've said in this, some of the other vendors say not all MFAs created equal. Even some of the phishing resistant MFA isn't yet. I would love to see somebody come up with a test bed to test and validate that, that's maybe something we can work on you and with your sources here in the EU, maybe get somebody to test and validate it.
I like that. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
to talk to you.
Likewise.